Friends of the pod, welcome back. Today's episode is brought to you by LifeSpark.bio, your go-to for science-backed health solutions, and Closure Wine. Our guest today is Sarah Norris, founder of Midnight Memoirs, a wine brand that blends storytelling and alcohol. Safe to say she's created the perfect breakup recovery kit. But before she became a boss in the booze industry, she was an NFL and NBA cheerleader. Sarah, welcome to the pod. Can you introduce yourself for those who may not know you?
Hi. Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah, creator of the brand Closure and company Midnight Memoirs. So yeah, that's me.
Amazing. I love it. Short and sweet. Let's get to it. So I love going through linearly. So let's take it from the top.
Let's go.
Baby Sarah. What was she like? Was she future CEO vibes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm one of three girls. I'm the middle, and I was always probably the more opinionated, trouble. Like, I was always getting in trouble for probably more so like speaking my mind. So yes, definitely. If anyone was going to pick me out of the bunch, it was going to be me starting my own company and being a
I love
boss.
I love
Yeah.
that. And so siblings,
Yes.
big house. I've three older brothers, so similar energy.
Yes. Yeah. My older sister is a doctor and my little sister is an aerospace engineer. So I'm like, all right, we're all competitive. I'm like, how can I?
Wait, a doctor and an aerospace engineer?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then
Okay.
there's me. For the longest time, I'd be like, and then there's me when I was like a cheerleader or whatever, or just not either of those things. I'm like, and then there's the middle child.
And then there's me. And then there's me. So growing up, were you in Arizona?
I was, yeah, born and raised Arizona, the west side actually, Avondale, Arizona, so by the Cardinal Stadium.
So growing up in Arizona, how did you get into cheerleading?
Yeah, so my mom actually put me in dance lessons when I was 2.5. So she was signing my older sister up for dance classes, and the owner goes, "Well, what about her?" And she's like, "Well, she's 2.5." She's like, "Is she potty trained?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, sign her up." So I started dancing since I was potty trained, and graduated through grade school, cheered in high school, and then I actually went to ASU for a dance major. And then I decided that I did not want to get a degree in dance, that I wanted to get a degree in business. So I decided to then audition for the Arizona Cardinals. And that was my first team that I cheered for, was the Cardinals. So that's how I began my professional cheerleading journey, I guess.
Nice. So that was in college.
Yes, I made the Cardinals when I was 19. So
Wow.
my first year in college, my first year in college, I was a dance major. And then going into my sophomore year, I had switched to business and auditioned for the Cardinals. So yeah,
Nice.
19 until I think I was like 22.
Then you go to nice. Nice. So you start the Cardinals, then you go to Dallas, then you go to Miami. What was your
Yep.
favorite?
Oh, I think the Mavs, the Dallas Mavs was my favorite. I like football better and I like being on the field, but the Mavs, like the camaraderie of our team and the booty popping style was just more my vibe. So yeah, that's why I would definitely say the Mavs.
Yeah, I feel
And
that.
I'm mad at them right now though.
Luca?
They got rid of Luca.
Yeah, yeah. Sarah, it's 4:48 p.m. Are you drinking coffee?
It's decaf. But yeah, I have
Okay.
a meeting after this.
Okay, there you go. As long as it's decaf. We got to stick to our health protocols.
Yeah, the wine world doesn't never sleeps though. Got to sell wine.
Sarah, what's the craziest thing you've ever witnessed when cheering?
So I don't know if it's ever witnessed, but definitely had some crazy things happen to me. Both of the times were on Mavs. One time I had green armpits, and then the other time I pulled out a hair extension on the court. Ooh, there's a thumb. There's a thumb there. Pulled out an extension on the court, and I ran off the court. So I could dive into either of those stories if you want to hear.
The green armpits, that sounds unique.
So usually as cheerleaders, dancers, we're all different, but I had a routine like the day before a game. I definitely would not go out drinking ever before a game, and I would always get a spray tan the night before, so I was like fresh and tan. Well, I don't know if it was work related or I think we might have had like 3 games that week, so I had not gotten a spray tan the day before. So I decided to get a spray tan the day of, and that was the worst choice of my professional dancing career. I had green armpits. It started off first for the beginning of the game. I noticed it, and in the mirror, I was like, oh my gosh, and I had 2 routines to do. So on Mavs, we would do 2 routines. You would do one during first quarter, one during third, and then you would run back out there during fourth and do a couple of like little sideline routines, but not actual like dances. It wasn't until fourth quarter that my coach noticed my green armpits, and she pulled me aside, and she was harsh, and she would have normally sent any other girl home, but everyone says she loved me, and I don't know why she loved me, but I guess she did. And she loved me so much that she sent me back on the court with green armpits, and I have photos I could send you. There's photo proof of my green armpits, and yeah, that's a story me and the girls still laugh about.
Yeah,
So
we'll throw it up. We'll throw it up
St.
on the
Patty's Day,
clip.
should have posted those on St. Patty's Day on Monday.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had to wear green. It would have been
Mm-mm.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you're in a game, how many routines do you guys actually have?
Per game, usually you're doing 2 to 3.
Okay.
So sometimes you have a halftime, and then your fourth quarter you probably have about like 40 different sideline short routines that you could do. Your coach will be like, do this one. And that's during fourth quarter. So yeah, 2 to 3, I'd say. So in all, I probably knew about 80 dances on Mavs because we have about 40 games. We never usually repeated dances. So every week, if we had 2 games that week, I was learning like 4 to 6 new dances. You have different spots in these routines where you're moving multiple times and having to remember where you are. One of the girls, she's going to hate me for this, but she actually came onto the court on the wrong side of the court for the routine, and it just starts. And so she had to do it was chaos. It was bad. But yeah, there's a lot of remembering things. So if you mess up just a little bit, it's obvious.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect.
I feel like, to your point, spatial awareness is definitely an intelligence. It's a form of intelligence, right? And obviously you have a great memory, being able to memorize 80 moves. And I imagine you don't have a lot of practice because in the NBA, they have games like all the time.
Yeah, we sometimes had to learn a routine the day before a game, or sometimes we were making changes 5 minutes or a minute before we run on. Like instead of doing this here, 5, 6, 7, 8, you're gonna do this here, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go. And you're just like, what? And there's times where you think you're gonna have a brain fart, and luckily you don't, because your body somehow remembers it when it's out there. It's almost like second nature. Dancing is kind of like riding a bike in a sense. So for me at least, dancing is like riding a bike.
Muscle memory. Yeah, I get it. Dang, okay, that definitely sounds intense
It
than
was
just
very
running
intense.
around.
It was extremely intense. That's why also it was my favorite compared to the other two, was because it was intense. There's more games, more squats.
Yeah. And I know in dance generally, in cheer, there are the flyers, right? The people flying up. But outside of that, are there any sort of designations or positions, or is it kind of just...
It's funny, in professional dancing, we don't stunt. At least the teams that I was on, we didn't stunt. It was more just hair flipping and turns and kicks, and like I would say they call us cheerleaders, but we're dancers. Yeah. So I was a flyer in high school, but not in the NFL or NBA. So designated spots, I mean, a lot of it was dependent on height. So usually because I was shorter, I'm 5'2", I was on the outside of routines. I was either on the outside of routines, or I was like the outer fronts, or I was sometimes like in the middle. So depending on how they would line up the team, like especially for kick line, I was always on the end because I was the shortest. So height wise, there are some specific areas. And then there's captains that are usually in the front, in the middle.
Makes sense. Got to make the triangle so it looks good. And so your fam is in labeling and packaging.
Yes.
When you see really good packaging, do you get excited?
Oh yeah. I'll buy something because it has cool packaging, and I'll bring it to the office. So my office is actually in their office. I have my own little office in here. My wine's actually in their warehouse as well. But yeah, I'll be at the store and I'll see something really cool, and I'll bring it to the office, and I'll ask, my aunt also works here. It's like a family company. And I'll ask my aunt or my dad, and be like, how do you think they did this? And we'll break it down and figure it out, and what machinery was used to accomplish it, or how many embellishments. Is it debossed, embossed? Is it domed? Yeah. So that's kind of my wine too. Has all of the crazy stuff to it.
Yeah. I was just at Expo West 2 weeks ago where they have
Okay.
a bunch of companies and packaging and things. And some of the packaging is pretty crazy, but in my opinion, in consumer goods, packaging is at least 80% of the battle, right, to be seen.
It is. Yeah, it's huge. And I don't think people really fully know that until you're really immersed into it and starting your own company. Um, because you think as a consumer, you don't realize what you're doing when you're purchasing something, but a lot of it has to do with packaging, and obviously like design within packaging. But yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to hit you guys up for some packaging advice. And so
Yeah.
you started Midnight Memoirs. What was your vision?
Oh my gosh, I started working on it about 4.5 years ago. What was my vision? It started off really kind of small, and it started off more of a revenge. I'm a Scorpio, so it was more of a revenge fantasy. Before it was Midnight Memoirs, it was actually Storyteller. And before Closure Wine was Closure Wine, it was X Trilogy. So what it started off of was something kind of totally different with a different idea viewpoint, and throughout like trademarking and throughout kind of growth of the company and me figuring out who I am as a company and who my brand, like who I want my brand to be in a sense, and tell what stories, it turned into Closure and it turned into Midnight Memoir. So I think it like graduated in a sense and grew. But what I envisioned at first was kind of these like revenge bottles of like I was hurt, and of these exes of mine. And so it started off like that, and then it really just turned into something more healing. As I was actually working on the company, I was healing through those 4.5 years. I was healing from these men that unfortunately like did me wrong, but I'm thankful for that because I grew and created a company that means so much to me. So it was really cool to look back on what it started off as and to where it's still progressing every day. Um, and I take every like not no, but everything that doesn't work out for the company, I take it as a okay, what can we pivot to? Because every time something hasn't worked out for me, it's been for the better. So it just leads me and aligns me to what I think the company or I'm meant to be doing, if that makes sense.
100%. Launching in March 2025?
Yeah, so I'm working on my website. So tomorrow I'm finishing it up and Monday. So I should be launching, hopefully not on purpose, but maybe April Fools or the day before April Fools, because I'm not trying to fool anyone. So end of March is the date that I'm trying for. But starting a company, you want to do it earlier and setbacks happen. But yeah, we're ready to launch e-commerce nationally within the month of March. So that is we have like what 1.5 more weeks left, but yeah,
Mhm.
we're gonna do it. And
Mhm.
I'll be distributing in Arizona and Texas within like April, probably. That's when I'm gonna start setting that up to be in restaurants and retail
And wine, can you send direct to consumer?
through e-commerce. So
Mhm.
the thing about the alcohol industry, wine, spirits, is it's every state's different off of laws, and because of that, you need different licensing. So in order to do e-commerce nationally, that's direct to consumer, and that's a whole different license. And then in order to go consumer to, business to business, that's a whole nother, like you have to get with separate distribution for that and separate licensing per state. So it's all nationally be able to sell straight to consumer, but as far as business to business, that's going to be a little while to hit every state. But yeah.
I started an alcoholic seltzer in business
Okay.
school. It was called Skybreak. I'm going to sell you on it. It
Yeah, let's hear it.
was it was better White Claw with yerba mate tea in it.
Okay.
And I launched, everyone drank it in business school with me. It was so fun. And then I learned how hard it is to break into alcohol, particularly with, you have to have a co-packer making it, then you need to have a distributor, then you need to have a retail, you're going e-com, which totally makes sense. But
Yeah.
how has that been? Alcohol is so complicated.
I want to like throw up every day because like thinking about all of it. Everyone always asks me why alcohol, or oh my gosh, what, like why are you doing that? It's definitely I wouldn't say it's the most, it can be extremely lucrative money wise, but that's as far as probably once you get to the point of selling your company for what it's then like worth at that time. It takes a while to get there. But I would say, what was your question again?
No, it's just how have you navigated how complicated it is? There's so many, what you just said, right? There's literally
Yeah.
different rules by every state.
So I thought I was going to start this company kind of like how you did in college. You were working on that. I thought I was going to be able to start this, launch in a year. Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
still like 4 years into the process and 4 years into the process and I still am like not ready. And I'm still not even, I'm launching, but I'm not fully ready. So how I've been handling it is just taking it day by day, and just giving myself grace and reminding myself every day Rome wasn't built in a day. And so, for great things to happen, you got to take time and it's not going to be perfect, but it can get there and it will get there. So that's kind of how I've been taking it. But it's definitely every day I'm like learning something new. Oh, I didn't know I needed to do that. Oh, okay. How long is that going to take? 9 months? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
are you solo on this?
yeah. So I am a one-man show. So I am creative director, CEO, I'm CFO. I actually do have a social media manager, so she's been amazing helping me with that. So that's my one department, but we still,
Mhm.
collaborate on everything. So yeah, one man show, wear many hats.
Your guys' socials are awesome.
Thank you.
I need your social media manager's number as well. We need help in that
Yes,
department. It's tough.
yeah. We're taking it month by month. We're meeting and we're like, what do we like? What do we not like? Where are we going with this? What are we trying to do with this? And I think with my brand, we've decided that we want to create more of like a culture, and we're trying playing on the whole cancel culture. We're trying to do more of like a closure culture, like cancel culture, and let's motivate people to find like true closure. And so what does that look like? And so we're trying to just push on that, I guess, and understand our buyers in that area.
Yeah. I like closure culture. That
Closure.
resonates.
Yeah, I feel like it resonates with me too. And that's kind of why it's out there. I put a whole list of like, what do people like? And people like Closure Club. I'm like, that's just so nah. Let's be like
Mhm.
a group, a tight knit, and let's make it a thing. Like
Yeah.
how cancel culture became a thing. Let's make closure culture a thing.
Hashtag closure culture. Is there a specific story tied to closure?
Oh, yeah, I mean, my first bottle, the story of the narcissist, is very much the reason why I started the company. I had gotten out of, I hate to make this like the full selling point at all of my company, but it's my story. I had gotten out of an abusive relationship. He was abusive in every single way. And I look back on who I was in that relationship, and I was quite literally a shell of myself. I didn't speak unless spoken to. Well, I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to have a job, which was crazy. Yeah, I'm the type of person that has like two jobs. I've always wanted to start a business, but for some reason and in this relationship, I was manipulated, that I in a sense let myself be manipulated, but this person knew what they were doing and I was just not myself. And I escaped that relationship about 4.5 years ago. And I sat down and I cried for a while, but if anything, after I got out of that relationship, I remembered who I was, and I knew I wasn't that person that I was in that relationship, and so I took my hurt and I started working on closure. Well, it was X Trilogy at the time. It was the story of three exes. So the narcissist was the beginning of that because that person really shaped me at that point and really shaped the company and began everything. So yeah,
I'm so sorry.
yeah.
That's tough. And
I just
I'm glad you moved through it.
yeah, with the company, I kind of just want to with closure with the brand, I just really want to bring awareness, to those types of relationships and for people to have uncomfortable conversations, maybe at the dinner table while they're drinking their wine, but more so also for the girl or the guy that maybe you're going through it right now. Maybe you just got out of the relationship, maybe you're still healing, or maybe you have healed from it, but it's more you're celebrating who you're gonna become after that relationship and working on yourself, because that's all you can do.
Absolutely. And we're in our 30s, we're single. Well, I don't know if you're single, I'm single.
Well, I'm single.
There you go, we're single. And if the goal is finding your partner, then if you're single, you're much closer to that than if you're in the wrong relationship.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a huge, huge thing, is being in the wrong relationship. I would never be where I am. I'm a firm believer if that person is not, like, if you feel like there's any inkling that that person's not meant for you, like, leave, because you're just stopping yourself from meeting your full potential or meeting your best partner that is meant for you. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I will
And
never settle again.
yep. Good. Good. I support that. And when you guys do have your launch party
Yes.
in Scottsdale, I'm definitely coming out.
Yeah,
Support
April
the
24th
brand.
or like around that. I'm still
Love
figuring
it.
out the date, but around that April 2020 time after Easter.
Love it. I'll come and we'll do a wine for a supplement swap.
Yeah,
And
that's
we'll
fun.
make some content. We can make some content for our brands. That'd be super fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Scottsdale, you've lived in Dallas, you've lived in Miami. Don't know if you've lived in LA or New York, but
I lived in New York.
why is okay? So
Yeah,
why Scottsdale?
my family's here. Yeah, I moved back in like 2.5 years ago for, no, it's only been like 2 years. I moved back about 2 years ago for another ex, which I have an idea for this one I'm excited about. But yeah, I moved back for now another ex situation. Yeah, so now I'm just out here, and it's all for the better, again, because I was able to work side by side with my parents. They printed the backs of my labels and was able to work with them on a lot of things.
That's awesome. Yeah, can we see it?
Oh yeah. So
Let's show it off. So
so
take us through. So yeah, just take us through it.
okay, so this is the narcissist, or well, the story of the narcissist. This is a cab, Paso Robles cab. What year is this one? 2022. And on the back, we have like the story. We have the hand. The hand is kind of obviously symbolizing um, just being kind of haunted or controlled by that person with invisible strings, and that they're always just kind of there. The heart is symbolizing like your heart. This one I wanted to be the color of like wine red. It is a little bit more purple, or not purple. It is a little bit more pink than I'd like, so we're going to work on that for the next batch to make them more perfectly wine colored. So this one will be on shelf around like $65, so comparable to a Camus, Austin Hope, but we take all my wine through an extra filtration process, so we don't add as many sulfites to it, and we have absolutely no added sugars or dyes. So all my wines are going to be extremely smooth, but this one's going to be like dirty, bold, bitter, all those things that you would use to describe a narcissist. Yes. And then this is my Sauvignon Blanc. If you can see, there's a snake.
Ooh, yes, I can see it.
So my parents actually did these labels. It's a double-sided label. So it's a really cool process. When you're in town, I could show you the shop and how they did it. And then this heart is red. So it's kind of representing a heart, or not a heart. It's representing a like apple, juicy, ripe, acidic, those notes of kind of hinting on like Adam and Eve, serpent in the grass, forbidden fruit, if you will. And that one's the story of the cheater. That is a Santa Barbara Sauvignon Blanc. And then we have the rosé, which is the story of the one that got away. And this one as well is a double-sided label. It's white, ombre. It's kind of like the draining of a heart. This one is going to be a more bittersweet wine, kind of like the story of the one that got away in those notes. So I wanted to make sure that everything came full circle in the story as far as the flavor profiling and the look and the design of the wine labeling. So this is really what took the longest, is making sure it all makes sense. And it's still not perfect, but it'll get there, and the wine is really, really good. And I want to say I'm biased, but I've had people blindly taste my wine. I blindly tasted my wine, not knowing it was my wine, compared against like 7 different reds, 7 different whites, and 7 different rosés, and mine was comparatively one of the best. So I would, yeah, unbiasedly, my wine's.
I believe it. I love that you're doing the extra filtration for the
Yeah.
sulfites. I feel like it's awesome. And then I also love that you're getting it from Paso Robles.
Yeah.
Underrated area.
Yes, it is. I feel like I started off thinking that I was going to do a Napa red. And throughout time and throughout the development of the story of the narcissist, I felt like a Paso would be just a better fit because the it's more earthy, more dirty, and less jammy. Mine is a really like good mix though. You would drink mine and you'd be like, oh, this could be a mixture between a Paso and a Napa. But yeah, and the filtration process is huge to me because ideally in the future I'll probably have a full line that has like no added sulfites. So we're working on getting there. I just didn't want it to impact the flavor at all in the profiling. And sulfites are needed at a level for preserving the wine. But I also wanted to make sure that there's no artificial sugars and dyes, which you'd be surprised with how many wines have that in there and people don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah. I guess they just want them to be sweet and look the correct color when it's cheap.
Yep. Yep. And people don't know when you have your lips dye a color, that's not a natural grape. That shouldn't be doing that to your lips.
Really?
No. No.
Taking some notes there.
Yeah. I could be misspeaking, but from my experience, if it's really turning your teeth red and your lips red, then there's some added color in there. Yeah. It shouldn't do that much. Unless maybe your lips are just really crusty.
There you go. And I use chapstick, so we're good. I'm very impressed that you're doing the solo founder. That's
Yeah.
It's lonely.
It is. It's really lonely, and I mean, you know what that's like, right?
Yeah. I have a co-founder, my cousin Jack, shout out Jack, but Skybreak, my seltzer, Sarah, I started alone.
Yeah.
And I learned in that I'm very social, and so I need to have a co-founder. And like you, I want to be an entrepreneur for the rest of my life.
Right. Yeah.
But for me, at least, the hard thing about starting a business, I feel, is you don't have clear outputs where you can spend all day trying to build partnerships and sending emails, and you go to bed and you think, oh my gosh, what did I actually accomplish that day?
Yeah.
You don't always get things tangibly back, but you just got to grind and work as hard as you can every day.
Yep. Yeah. And I would say the hardest thing every day that I fight is imposter syndrome. Every day, that's the first battle I wake up and have to conquer. And even throughout the day, you're still like working on it because, you know you can do it. But then there's this thought in your mind, like, who do I think I am? So I think for me, at least, that's an everyday struggle, just getting past that initial thought, like, you know, whatever that is in your mind telling you can't do this, there's also the same thing in your mind telling you, shut up, you can do this, now go do it. But yeah, no, being a solo founder is a lot. It's a lot. It's overwhelming, and I have to give myself grace. I'm learning to do that, and something that might take obviously 2 people a month to do, it probably will take me like 3. But I'm very picky with who I work with, and so, you know, maybe in time I'll add more people to Midnight Memoirs. But right now I'm fine.
At that launch party, Sarah, it's all going to be worth it.
Yeah. Well, you saw my launch in Dallas, right?
I saw your launch in Dallas. It looked epic.
Yeah. Thank you. That was the first time like the general public was, well, not general, more of my friends, but drinking my wine. So no one knew out there what it was going to taste like. And a lot of my friends that came were like, we just came to obviously support, but thank God it tastes really good. Like, yeah, that was really cool. That was a really crazy moment, but it's really cool.
If you could go back to the start, day one, starting Midnight Memoirs, what would your advice be to yourself?
Ooh, what would my advice be? Ooh, that's a good question. What would my advice be to myself if I could go back? What would I tell myself? I'd probably just tell myself to believe in myself. You're going to do great things. Just continue to believe in yourself. I think that's the only advice that I would give myself, because I think every struggle that I had throughout the process was pivotal and needed for my growth and for the company's growth. So I think that's all I would tell myself is like, keep going. Don't.
That's good advice. Maybe someday for the fraternity boys, we can do a Midnight Memoirs boxed wine. Did you ever do the slap the bag?
That could be a fun, we could call that something fun. I'm
Something
down for
super
that.
fun. It'd be
Yeah.
like your college ex, and it's the only thing they deserved is box wine.
No, yeah, that's a good one.
That'd be so
We need
funny.
to make sure that everyone listening to this signs a NDA because that's a great idea.
We'll get them all to sign an NDA for sure.
But no one can do it like Midnight Memoirs. So yeah, it'll be a collaboration between you and Midnight Memoirs. Yeah.
We'll do it live at your launch party. Slap the bag.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I love it. Okay, moving on here.
Yes.
We're gonna go to my favorite part of the pod. It's the speed round.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you a quick question, and then you just give me a one-word answer as best you can.
Okay, let's go.
We'll start easy. Red or white?
Red.
Worse red flag, bad texture or bad wine taste?
Ooh, bad texture. But bad wine is like bad too. Like if you don't really know
It's
wine,
bad.
yeah.
It's bad. Do you notice guys on dates when they're ordering?
Like with the way they order?
The way they order wine specifically.
Yeah, I do. Every time. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm noting it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything, but I'm noting it. I'm like, okay. Huh? But I get it. A lot of people don't really know that much about wine. They're ordering what they know or don't know or what's in their price range.
Totally. When I talk to most guys, they say, "Oh, I just order the one that's in the middle in terms of how expensive it is."
Which the funny thing about that, there's psychology about that too, because usually the one in the middle should probably be down at the bottom, or they're pricing themselves too low and they actually should be higher. So the middle is like almost like a gambling move of what you're going to get for that price.
Yeah, and there's pricing studies, right, where they gave people the same wine and they told them one was $50 and one was $100, and they all said the $100 one tasted better.
Yep. Yeah.
So maybe we just jack up your price to be like $2,000.
You know, my wine is worth that.
Yeah. We can do a limited edition Sarah bottle and you like do something cool on it. You sign it or you kiss it or something, and then we sell it for like $5,000.
No, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say, don't put that.
We'll cut it. I love it.
That's a separate purchase. That's just purchasing my spit.
Yeah, well, that'll be something else. What's the most overrated wine trend?
That's such a good question. What is overrated of a wine?
In my mind, I think it's natural wines.
Okay.
Organic natural wines. To me, that's just marketing. But actually, keep me honest here. Is that just marketing or is that real?
It depends, right? It's going to be lower alcohol content. They're basically just like taking out sugars in a sense. So you're just drinking shitty wine. If you're drinking more natural wine. I just actually learned this. But non-alcoholic wine. You know, non-alcoholic wine is so extremely processed. In order to make it non-alcoholic, because in order to call it wine, they still take it, and I don't want to speak too poorly on this because I'm probably going to add one to my line, but there's no alcohol in it and people want to drink the wine. It's a whole nother process that it's not probably good for you necessarily. So you might as well just drink juice, to be honest with you. Just drink
grape juice.
Grape juice.
Like when we're in church getting the communion.
Yeah. So I would say, okay, there's a trend. I don't want this to go against me because people will drink non-alcoholic anyways, but I think non-alcoholic is like great for people, but then just don't drink it because it's not good for you anyways. Any kind of non-alcoholic is probably still not good for you.
Yeah. NFL or NBA?
NFL.
Nice. What about cheerleaders? Are cheerleaders better in the NFL or in the NBA?
I'd say usually cheerleaders are
dancers.
Better
Excuse me.
They're going to be more talented, stylized dancers.
Hmm.
NFL, they're still amazing and really good like dancers, but I think it takes more skill to make an NBA team than an NFL team.
What's the most Arizona thing about you?
I have an Arizona tattoo. I have a cactus tattoo. Toro cactus tattoo right there. Most Arizona thing about me. I don't know. It's a good question.
I mean, the tattoo is pretty dang spot on.
The Arizona tattoo is the most Arizona thing about me, yeah.
Who's the dream celebrity spokesperson for closure?
Oh, yes. Like, I've gone through this one because, of course, like, I'm obviously really big with who I work with. And, you know, you want to be strategic with celebrities and everything like that. And you don't want to choose the wrong one. But I would almost say Taylor Swift or Selena Gomez would probably be some two good ones. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Chicken Fry. Is that her What's her real name?
Yeah, Brianna
She's the one I
LaPaglia.
wanted to reach out to maybe do some stuff with because her most recent relationship. But
Yes, all that Zach Bryan stuff. That'd be
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. And I'm a
Wow.
huge person with I always believe the woman. There's probably a 1% chance that a woman's lying, but so 99%, I'm always going with the woman.
Yeah, she'd be great. Um, what was your most awkward or worst first date?
Oh, it was this one guy. It was like years ago. I think he like went to some kind of rave or something like the day or that week, and he had like bit his tongue, and so his tongue was swollen. So like when he was talking, um, or wasn't talking, he like hardly talked, and when he did talk, it sounded like he had like something in his mouth. And then he asked me on a second date. I was like, no, what? Like no offense to people who go to raves.
Yeah, probably did a little too much Molly on that
That's
one.
what he said. That's what he said. And I was like, yeah, no, not into that. But
Yeah, not the most attractive thing.
no,
Hey,
it was.
sorry, I bit my tongue off.
And we did dinner at Nobu too, so it was so weird. I'm like, we're doing.
I think we might have lost her, boys. I think her phone died. Well, I guess it's turned into a little bit of a solo pod here. I think Sarah's phone died. We had a little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning, troubleshot all the microphone inputs, and then we had to switch to her phone, which we got working. And then here we are now. So I think I'll just bring us home. I'll answer the last questions for her. I'll do my best. Let's see how I can do. Best city for a night out, New York. Nothing even close. Wine you'd never drink again. I mean, hopefully boxed wine or Gallo. Gallo, they make 1 million bottles of wine a day, barefoot. Look it up. Fun fact. If Midnight Memoirs had a tagline, what would it be? I think closure. What she said, it was closure. I need to go back and check my notes. It was gosh, I'm blowing it. Something about closure. Good job, Conrad. What's next for Sarah Norris? Well, launch party, end of April in Phoenix, and growing the brand. She mentioned she's going to do a non-alcoholic wine, which is super exciting, and grow the biz and maybe do a little collab with LifeSpark.bio. You never know. Get your supplementation in order. You know what I mean? Get your root mitochondrial function in line and then drink some wine to celebrate. Now we have our closing. Sarah, this has been amazing. Where can people find you and your wine? And she would say, hopefully, thank you, Conrad. I had fun. I don't know if she had fun with technical difficulties, but you can check us out. Sarah Norris on Instagram, Closure Wine on Instagram, closurewine.com. And that's it. Well, thanks for coming on, Sarah. Thanks for listening to the end. If you did, you got to see Conrad finish the pod, and maybe this will inspire me to do a solo pod. Thanks, guys. Onward.